Hello, this is Phil Parker, and what I'd like to do is describe an interface for a project that I've called the K-12 plus 2 project, which is basically allowing the creation of educational materials for the world's smaller languages, or for major languages for that matter. Turns out that the smaller the population of a language, the less likely the publishing industry in its traditional form would be able to create materials for such languages. Many languages of the world do not have basic business or economics or mathematics or biology textbooks, and this starts from a very early age all the way to college levels. So this interface shows how one can automatically create some of the types of contents that might be found useful for some of these underserved languages. It's separated by multiple tabs. There are 4 tabs here. One can select an established subject area for a given audience. So if I wanted to go for university master's degree level, and it's someone who's basically 23 years old or first year of master's, I can select that. Or I can select preschool or any other level in between. I've mostly been focusing myself on preschool, elementary, and post-elementary, post-primary school, and at this other end of the spectrum. And slowly as time goes on, I work my way towards the center, to the vocational adult education and university upper and lower division. Now there's several ways to, once one selects the audience, to select a subject. One can do it in a free-form manner and say, I'd like to develop some educational content designed to educate on the subject of finance, or maybe on the subject of arithmetic, etc. And so the free form allows you to simply type in whatever subject you think is important, or you can actually be prompted by certain topics, like healthcare topics, and one can choose amongst a variety of topics, and then the coverage area. Wiki topics are much more oriented towards local or international wiki type of sites that want to convert their content into educational content. This could be Wikipedia or specialized. There are many wikis out there nowadays that specialize in certain areas. You can select any subject that starts with a certain letter combination, shows you the topics that are available on that subject, and then can from there create some kind of content. We'll talk about that in a minute. Or you can choose standard academic disciplines, for example, agriculture, and you could say, I'd like to look at content relating to aquaculture. At any moment, you can click the All button, and the program will loop across all areas or subjects within that area. In addition to what I'd call traditional academic subjects, you also have author-based subjects. For example, this is a list of authors that have maybe particular notes or particular slides or transparencies or games that they really think are important. I'll select my own name here, and I have a whole list of topics here: funnel analysis and product portfolio analysis and defining strategic objectives, etc., etc. And suppose I wanted this content to be localized to a given audience, and I could select that. Or if it's not an author's particular content, it might be some public domain content, like the works of a classic author, for example, Christopher Morley. And you could say, I'd like to use or base the content on Kathleen, a novel that he had created. Or there's a lot of donated textbooks to Global Text, which is a nice organization that has amassed a number of textbooks in given subject areas by author, and you can see what these textbooks are by author name, or you can choose the textbooks by subject area, and these are some of the subjects that are available where there's already a pre-existing text. And maybe what I would like to do is take these texts and somehow use them to create additional forms of content, for example, for underserved languages. Now, those are ways of selecting subjects, either established subjects or subjects that are driven really by individual authors. And then there's the format. Now, format is the way the educational content is delivered to the audience, and this is a fairly agnostic way of looking at it. Perhaps some audiences would prefer to have word games or crossword puzzle books, or maybe just a glossary of words some people might like to have, or a lesson plan in the case of a teacher, lecture notes, teaching notes, posters, workbooks, flashcards, blackboard notes, group exercises, mini cases, cases, examinations, brochures, flyers, and textbooks. So for example, if one wanted to have for arithmetic some examinations for pre-algebra, later you can see we can localize that to a given language or to a given geography, which might prove useful, especially since examinations need to change from year to year, etc. So it allows that kind of flexibility. For the moment, we'll just select glossary. You can also have audio output. Now, I've been investing a lot in text-to-speech engines and other types of audio concatenation programs or audio engines, common in 3D gaming, actually, but as applied to education. And you can choose the bit rates and the duration of the audio, how it's encoded, time of year, time for the signature tune if one is going to exist, and you can choose I'd like there to be a classical segue in and out of the content, perhaps. Some of my colleagues who work in the field of rural radio in Africa have noted that often rural radio stations with educational content would like it interrupted with some kind of advertising message, so you can allow for spot advertising. And you can output in various audio formats. Or you can do video. Video might be the form of video flashcards, or it could be talking heads that talk to each other. We've produced a few videos like this that are quite fun, that summarize some of the content that would normally be coming out in the various textual formats. Likewise, we've done quite a bit of work in the areas of PC and video games. We've produced something like 10 different forms of games, both PC games and Flash games, that are educationally oriented. Most of them are oriented towards the very young, from 4 to 6 year olds, or to people perhaps in their college ages, because they're very technical subjects, like advanced astronomy. And you can learn about advanced astronomy via a PC hangman game, or a 3D shooter game, or maybe a hangman game, or a crossword game, a word search game, an unscramble, an anagram game, or a jigsaw, or a cryptogram game, or a trivia game, or a regular old-fashioned game show game. So these are the kinds of formats that one can produce in, depending on either the student who wants to self-learn, or the instructor who wants to give instruction. And this is the tab I find most interesting. It's the localization tab. And this allows the person who wants to create the educational material to localize it. First of all, there has to be maybe a cover page or a credits page. And here you can localize it to the people or the audience themselves. So you might want to say, I want to create a glossary for the UAE. And I could make that the title, compiled by, and I could put my name or perhaps the institute's names, put Phil there, and compiled for the United Arab Emirates. And it might be the leadership program for the UAE, something like that. And I can incorporate logos that might be added to the cover page. So it's a nice cover page. I can have it output in many formats, including audio or video glossaries. That would be interesting. An e-publication, or something that could go to an iPhone or an iPad, or a standard old Word document, or an HTML web page. A variety of formats are available. You can say what year this is going to be in. I'm going to be using this glossary in the year 2010. Maybe the season isn't important. It's going to be in the month of February, and maybe 14th, something like that. In addition to that, you can regionalize or make the content adapted to a given specific geography. For example, you can do it by general region of the world: Asia, Europe, North America. This is important if examples are going to be drawn, and one wants to make sure that there's an Asian or European flavor to the examples within the text, or it could be specific to a country rather, or a city. For example, if I chose Albania, there's a whole list of cities to which I could localize it. So Burl is a city in Albania. And in a physics book or similar discussion, if there was a question about speed or acceleration between two cities in a car traveling between the two cities, it might use Burl as an example if the content has been allows for such adaptation. Finally, you can adapt it for economic activity. Some economies, it's very important to emphasize agriculture in the materials, even so something so simple as a spelling book or a language learning book. You want to emphasize agriculture, or maybe you want to emphasize education, or you want to emphasize healthcare. And you can, choose more than just one activity. You can make it focus towards a gender, a male gender, female gender, or kind of any gender. You can actually make it focus on particular topics, like, to the extent possible, I'd like jazz to be emphasized as well. You can also choose what source language you'd like this to be in. So let's say English could be our source language, and we want it to be enhanced for, let's say, Arabic, or maybe enhanced for some other language, for example, French. Now, these languages, or a variety of other languages that start with the letter F, Farsi, Finnish, etc. Now, what language enhancement is, whenever an English word is used, and that's kind of a difficult word for both English and non-English speakers, maybe there'll be a thesaurus at the bottom of the page, or on the video there might be some kind of subtitle that lets the people know what the vocabulary is being used. If you want a third language, you can choose a third major language, such as Hindi, and so you can have trilingual documents. And that's an overview of the functionality. So you choose a subject, be it established or from an author. You choose the audience, the age group, etc. You then choose the format. I'd like lecture notes, or I'd like a word game, or I'd like Blackboard notes. And then you choose the level of localization. And the content is run. Now, this is just a prototype of sorts. And in practice, this is actually batched. We've batched literally hundreds, if not tens of thousands of games already, and crossword puzzles, and a lot of games that are using these applications. But for the moment, I'll hit run, and it's going to do a little demo of that thing we selected, which was a business-oriented glossary of English terms with an Arabic translation after the term. And that's a quick demonstration of it actually creating the content, and it saves it to a folder. And if I shrink this, I can go to that folder, and the glossary is produced here, and having a lot of economic terms that might be useful to an audience whose language skills in either English or in Arabic needs to be improved, or they would just be curious to see how certain obscure terms in finance and business are translated. So this is more for an audience that is perhaps in their executive level or at the MBA level in a business school program. Thank you very much. That's a brief summary.